Function vocabulary. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to identify the independent and dependent variables of a situation, and you'll be able to identify the domain and range of a situation. All right, first of all, let's look at some definitions here. The independent variable is the input variable. We usually will denote it with an X, but not always. And the dependent variable is the output variable. Usually it's denoted by a Y. And then the domain is going to be the collection of all input values, and the range is going to be the collection of all output values. All right, when we're thinking about independent and dependent variables, I usually like to look at, for the independent variable, what do I have some control over? I get to choose. So if we go back to that McDonald's example, I get to choose which items I would like to order. So the items on my list would be the independent variable. The dependent variable I can't control as much. It's dependent on something else. So the price is going to be the dependent variable, and that's because the price you're going to pay is dependent on which items you order and how many of those items. All right. For the domain is what numbers make sense for your inputs. What could I put in for the domain? So the domain of my McDonald's example would be fries and shakes and chocolate dip cones, and let's see, we could have parfaits, and we could have hamburgers and chicken nuggets and things like that. Things that would not be included in the domain would be Skittles and toilet paper, because those are not things that you would buy on the menu at McDonald's. All right. The range would be what numbers make sense for your output values. So first of all, if you didn't buy anything at McDonald's, it would make perfect sense that your range could start at 0, because that's the smallest you would be paying, and the most you could be paying, I guess it could go up to $1 million or something like that, because I suppose you could buy that much at McDonald's. I'm not sure why you'd want to, but you certainly could. So that would be an example. Those would be numbers that would make sense. Anything between 0 and might even say 100 when you go there, if you're bringing a large family or something like that. Okay, so we are going to look at an example that asks us to do all of that stuff. All right, at a community center, art lessons are offered at night. The fee is $12 per lesson. You plan to attend up to 5 lessons. The amount you will spend is a function of the number of lessons you attend. Identify the independent and dependent variables, and then make a table of values for all numbers in the domain, and then identify the range of the function. All right, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to figure out what the independent variable is going to be. So what do I get to choose? Well, I get to choose how many lessons that I want to go to. So my independent variable is going to be the number of lessons. Okay, my dependent variable, I'm going to be thinking out about what don't I have so much control over? What depends on the number of lessons? Well, it's going to be the total cost. So the total cost depends on how many lessons I sign up for. Okay, the next thing that it said to do was to make a table of values for all numbers in the domain. So I'm going to put an X and a Y. I'm also going to put an X here and a Y, so I'm making sure people know what I'm referring to. Okay, my X was the number of lessons. It says that I can attend up to 5. So the least amount of lessons that I could do would be 0 if I really don't like art. I could do 1 lesson, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I couldn't go over 5 because it says I'm only going to attend up to 5 lessons. All right, the Y is going to be my total cost. So if I don't go to any lessons, I don't have to pay any money. If I attend 1 lesson, I'm going to have to pay $12. If I go to 2 lessons, I'll have to pay $24. If I attend 3 lessons, I'll have to pay $36. If I attend 4 lessons, $48. And if I attend all 5 lessons, I'll have to pay $60. So in this situation, the domain was my numbers 0 through 5. Okay, my range, the smallest amount of money that I'd have to pay is 0. The largest amount of money that I'm going to end up spending is 60. So that would be the range of the situation. So hopefully now you can identify independent and dependent variables and find the domain and range of situations.